for another episode of the Tech Informist. Let's begin. New 0 to 60 mile per hour speed record for a street legal vehicle.
Super Bowl drone show thoughts.
Twitter will soon filter out abusive replies to tweets.
Apple hires Amazon Fire TV head to spearhead Apple TV business.
Sony's new camera sensor can shoot 1080p video at 1000 frames per second.
And Microsoft will soon bring UWP games to your Xbox One.
Welcome back, everybody. Hey, it's Kevin.
And Brad.
And we're going to be talking about the first story that we mentioned, and we're going to kind of dive into this a little bit more because there has been a new record for a street legal car to go 0 to 60. And Brad, I know this is a brand that is near and dear to your heart, and you got a big old smile over there.
Good.
The 2017 Tesla Model S P100D
Ludicrous Plus mode.
Whoop, whoop. 0 to 60 in 2.28 seconds. Wow.
Yeah. So here's the funny part. They originally claimed it was a 0 to 60 in like 2.9 seconds. And Faraday Future was like, oh, well, we're going to do 2.8 seconds with our car. Well, number one, they haven't made their car. Number two, you got to catch up now. To kind of give you an idea of how fast this really is, they were kind of pitting it up against hypercars like Ferrari LaFerrari, which hits 70 mile per hour at a tenth of a second quicker. And the Porsche 918 and McLaren P1 pull ahead at 80 mile per hour mark. But that's because with a combustion engine car, once you hit that torque threshold, you switch over into the kind of the horsepower range, which is why those cars will exceed what electric cars do right now. So once they start hitting that horsepower threshold, they start pulling ahead, they start making those quicker times and quarter miles and whatnot. Because it's an electric car, it has instant torque. You don't have to wait for it to spin up, and it's there.
It's like a slingshot from the drag racing videos that I've seen with Tesla's racing the Challenger Hellcats and all these fancy smancy cars. You watch it and it's just from a dead stop. There's no spinning of the tires. No, it just launch, go. And that's impressive. And I can only imagine what that would feel like to do a dead stop ludicrous mode 0 to 60 2.8 seconds. I couldn't imagine what that would feel like.
I can kind of give a little insight on that too, because I also was reading up on G-Force because this made headlines everywhere. The G-Force that this puts out is somewhere in the vicinity of like almost 2 Gs, which is a lot for a car. But when you start stacking it up to other things in real life, like top fuel dragsters put out 3 to 4 Gs, most people would pass out at that point. Then you have astronauts, which experience 8, 9, 10 Gs, trying to escape the Earth's atmosphere.
So what are we talking about? Are we talking, obviously this is 0 to 60. This is just pure acceleration. What kind of top speeds? Have you heard anything about?
I believe it's limited.
Yeah, obviously most cars have governors where it just regulates. Oh, sorry, you can't go faster than 115 miles an hour.
Yeah, I believe the Tesla's 155 or 165.
That's still pretty darn impressive considering most cars that could probably do 120, maybe 130 or something.
Right.
We're talking even little 4-cylinders.
Yeah, that's true.
They're cut off at 115, and sometimes you feel like there's a little bit more power to it. I remember when I had my Grand Prix, which similar to yours, only you have the turbo version.
Supercharged, but yes.
Supercharged. I still felt like when it kicked off at 115, I'm like, there's still oomph left. It still had some ass to go.
Yeah, and again, with electric cars, they're so vastly different from anything you've ever driven. Even when I just rode in just a plain 85D, the acceleration on that thing is pretty amazing. It's kind of like taking off in one of those coasters like Mr. Freeze at Six Flags. It kind of almost feels like that. It just goes, and you're just sucked into the seat. That's the only way I know how to describe it. Again, it's kind of unlike anything you've ever felt before. It's that instant torque that gives it that what feels like unlimited power.
And it's just dragging you along. That's kind of how you feel like when you're on that roller coaster. It just pulls you right out of the chute. You do your few turns, you go straight up in the air, and now you've got to repeat that going the other direction. So you spend most of your time facing forward, like trying to keep your head back against the back, and it's kind of tough because you're not going as fast backward. It's just, of course, more awkward.
Right,
going backwards.
In lines with this in real world things, there is a ride at Epcot Disney World, and it's Mission to Space. I would like to know how many G's that puts out, because I rode the, in quotations, the red version or the extreme version, because there's two different versions now. Because so many people would ride it and they would either pass out or throw up.
That's
I almost passed out. I'm really curious how many G's that is to think, oh, well, that's my limit. I can't go past this. Otherwise, I'll probably pass out.
So it's almost safe to say right now, you probably don't want to get on a spaceship to go to space.
Oh, I would so do it. Even if I'd pass out, so do it. Yeah, I'd be curious to kind of see that. I might put that in the show notes if I find it, if I remember to.
Yeah, because I would really like to know, because that's kind of an experience that anybody that goes to Epcot can experience. Not everybody can get in one of these P100D Teslas and
well, even
go
getting,
for a ride.
Even getting in like a 85D or a 90, getting in even an electric car, period, you'll start to get the sense of what these things are all about, because you can feel right when you mash that pedal and you want to go, you can just feel that instant torque. Because again, it's not like anything you drive now, more than likely.
Right, because I mean, all the power is going equally to each of the four wheels, correct?
If it is a D, which means dual motor, that's what the D stands for.
Right, so it means it's controlling the front tires and the back tires at the same time.
Which, did not know this till, I believe, last week or the week before. Was listening to Ride the Lightning, Tesla Motors Unofficial podcast.
Whoa.
And he was talking about if you have a dual motor car, you actually get better, in quotations, mileage or gas mileage or whatever you want to call it now. Range, if you will. You get better range from your car. It's more efficient if you have a dual motor car, whereas in the world we live in now, if you have all-wheel drive, usually you get worse gas mileage or worse range. So I just found that interesting, that it's kind of flip-flopped with electric. A lot of things are really flip-flopped with electric cars. And
I could actually see that, though.
Yeah,
that it would be more efficient.
Because the one motor doesn't have to work as hard and get up to whatever watts and amperage it has to get to propel the entire car. It only has to use about half of that. And if both of them are using about half, I would definitely see how you could get a longer range. But this is kind of a huge win for electric cars around the world. I mean, talking Chevy, the new Chevy Spark. No, that's the little junk car.
Yeah, I wouldn't put that anywhere near a Tesla comparison.
Oh, God, what?
You talk about the Volt?
Bolt with a B.
That's right, the smaller.
The Nissan Leaf, anything. Once people start to see that they're cool, they'll start to want to get one, or that kind of aspiring car to get kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I would love to. There's so many of those electric vehicles. I'd love to have the Bolt, the Volt, obviously a Tesla. And who wouldn't want to have a Tesla?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see what happens when the Model 3 comes out, because it'll be so much more affordable. Like, real world scenario, it's like, okay, maybe I can't get the performance, maybe I can't get the self-driving stuff, but hey,
I can get the experience.
I can get the extended battery and the dual motor, so I can get extended range. So that's good enough for me. If that's all I can afford on the Model 3, I'm freaking set. Mm-hmm. I like to think of myself as a good driver and not necessarily need self-driving, although I'd love to have it.
So it looks like it's going to be pretty darn fun for people that can obviously afford this. And it makes me want to go to the meetup group that you went to last year, just to kind of meet some other people that have that. I know some people in our St. Louis Podcasters meetup are actually a part of that group as well. One person, he is a part of the meetup group. I don't think he has a Tesla, but I could be wrong. I don't know. But it kind of makes me wonder, though, really how fast is too fast? Is obviously in the United States, there's speed limits. Some are much slower than you would imagine or expect them to be, depending on which municipality you're driving through, and depending on the state, if you're on an interstate or if you're on a highway, state roads, etc., etc. There's rules, regulations, laws.
Yeah, and this is kind of, you can equate this to any hypercar, any sports car that can drive above 100 miles an hour. It's just a pissing contest. It's just, hey, my car can go faster than your car. Here's the spec sheet.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And actually, I did just find the quarter mile time. It's a 10-second car. It is a 10.5 second car. Holy crap, that's fast.
That is.
Wow. That's all I can say is wow.
Yes.
I would constantly look up quarter mile times when I was, in school. I always thought that was like the thing to measure up to. What's the quarter mile time? What can this thing actually run in a straight out drag race in a quarter mile? And 10.5 seconds is plenty for me. Again, if you are looking to get a Tesla P100D with Ludicrous Plus mode, you're looking at $148,000.
Yeah. So if you don't mind
don't mind living in your car, then exactly. I guess it's attainable.
I think it's comfortable. Sleep up in the front.
Yeah.
Just lay a little sleeping bag down in there. All right, going to bed. Close the hood.
So, I mean, obviously we look forward to more of what they have to offer. They are even more a tech company than they ever have been. So I guess we'll see where things go from here.
Yeah, we sure will. So this last weekend was Super Bowl 51. And I don't know if you had a chance to watch it. You might have been working. I don't really know.
Actually I didn't watch the whole thing. I watched the whole thing up to the point to where, yep, Falcons got this in the bag. Hey, Jeff, I'm taking off. Boy, when I got home, I had a surprise.
Yeah.
I did not have a horse in the race, to be honest. I could care less who won. I can pick a few people, or a lot of people, who would have rather saw a different team win for once. Mm-hmm. But again, I didn't care.
Yes, so obviously, J.J. Hammond, our first co-host of the show, he's a big Patriots fan.
He's happy.
So I'm sure he was thrilled to death with the fact that go Patriots, they won, and I think it's just pretty good. I mean, my thoughts were, I can see the Patriots winning. I'm expecting them to win. But if Atlanta's defense shows up and plays a good game, then I think Atlanta's going to win that one. Mm-hmm. Well, the first half, Atlanta's defense was all over the place because it was like 25-3 or some 21-3. I don't remember what the score was at halftime, but it was shaping
about that, yeah,
to be an embarrassing blowout. And after that interception by Tom Brady, they got ran back for a touchdown. You know, they showed that view of Brady kind of like sitting on the ground, and he kind of had that, what the just happened? I was just imagining the Michael Jordan sad face, those memes just coming out and just getting plastered all over. I was like, oh, Brady is going to get destroyed.
I will
on social media.
This. They made the biggest comeback in football history in Super Bowl.
It was unbelievable.
That is incredible. I actually want to go back and watch the rest of the game that I missed, because
that second half was unbelievable.
It can't be matched. That guy is amazing, whether you like him or not. He truly is. And another thing that was amazing during the show is seeing new technologies, not only in the ads, but during halftime. When to that I mean the drones that they were flying.
Yes. So Intel had like 300 drones flying in Lady Gaga's halftime show. So it opens, you see all these like moving stars, and she's singing she's just opening her act and she's doing her stuff, and then all of a sudden they turn into a flag formation with some changing lights to blue, some to red, some staying white, and I'm thinking that looked really awesome. Now, of course, it was recorded the week prior because of FAA regulations of nothing is supposed to be flying over this dome.
Interesting.
And especially because drones are not supposed to like fly over people. So you would have had 300 drones, and for example, if some software glitch would have caused them to start falling out of the sky,
Worst
inside
football accident
inside
ever.
the stadium, plunking people in the head. I mean, could you imagine 300 drones falling into the stadium?
Oh, that's a big PR nightmare waiting to happen.
Yeah, so...
You know, that's odd, though, because Disney's experimenting with this.
Yeah, they did a 500 drone show down there, and that's kind of where Intel kind of test piloted it.
I have a feeling that we're not only going to see more of these, but these might replace some light shows, fireworks shows, for whatever reason that may be.
I can imagine this coming 4th of July in 2017, we are going to see some companies that saw this go, yeah, we are doing something like this, and it is going to be wild.
Imagine investing in something like this where you could use it year after year after year and not have to re-buy supplies. I wonder if that could bring down the price of fireworks for that reason.
Fireworks shows are expensive.
Very.
If you've ever been to a fireworks tent, fireworks store, whatever, priced them, if you want the good stuff, you're spending a few $100s easily to have any kind of decent show that lasts more than 10 minutes, 10 or 15 minutes at your home. So I think it's pretty darn awesome. And they keep talking about there's a lot of different ways that they might be able to utilize these for rescue missions, reconnaissance stuff, and just all kinds of different
I didn't
purposes.
even think of that. All I was thinking of is entertainment. I didn't even think that, we need an emergency landing situation, or, we need a certain thing lit up a certain way to achieve this goal. That's incredible.
You send in these kind of lower priced drones that are controlled with software. You send them in, light up a field or light up something. I mean, to help find missing kids or missing people in dark wooded areas or something like that, or just big open fields.
I could imagine in 5 to 10 years, you could even have, these tiny drones that we're talking about with giant spotlights on them, big enough that they don't have to be right up on something to see it. And to have software for recognition, like you said, a missing person, even a missing dog, I don't know.
Right. Speaking of dogs, I mean, we have all seen that image of a St. Bernard with a little barrel under its neck to kind of help rescue people. And, these things can help drop in supplies after you send out 50 or 100 of them to light up an area. Oh, hey, there's the person. Okay, send down drone 62, and because that one's got medical supplies or something on it. And it's just all computer programmed, controlled from, I don't know for sure how they controlled all these, but it's all computer programmed, and it's just amazing stuff that they're doing with this. And this was a great way to show it off in that.
Yeah, absolutely. And drones are getting more and more popular as we go. Now, obviously, the FCC regulations where you have to register your drone, and if it's above a certain size or length or whatever it is, I'm not even too familiar with it.
Right. Kind of like licensing a boat. You got to put a little serial number.
Yeah.
You got to put a registration number and stuff on it. So if it crashes, they got to know who to track it to.
Yeah, exactly. Like the guy in Seattle who crashed in the Space Needle.
Yeah.
Oops.
And they'll be able to know which serial number, whenever they recover it, where it was purchased, and who bought it. Unless, obviously, it was stolen or something like that, then, they'll just go back to the person that it was originally sold to, and I can't snitch, or you're going to snitch, or do whatever.
I imagine that we'll see more of this throughout the year.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the Super Bowl is one of the most watched shows in the world.
Yeah, when the Super Bowl does something, you would just think that it becomes mainstream at that point. Kind of like with TVs. It's like once they start streaming in 4K HDR, that's it.
Yeah, everybody else is going to start doing it. You would kind of think. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with these and moving forward and finding other use cases as opposed to, the average guy being able to buy a $50 drone and go buzz it around somewhere. I mean, it's coming a long way from those little indoor helicopters that you could buzz around.
Uh-huh.
I mean, all this stuff is amazing.
Collision detection, 4K cameras.
Call home, just push a button and it comes back to you. Remote control, essentially. Just an autopilot. That's some cool stuff. Everybody's well aware that I enjoy using Twitter. And Brad enjoys using Twitter, and we all know President Donald Trump likes using Twitter.
Yes, he does.
So, and we all know that there's a lot of keyboard warriors out there that like to really talk big smack by sitting behind their keyboards. And
I like that,
troll
keyboard
people.
warriors.
Yeah, that's kind of what it is, the whole keyboard warriors. They just like, ooh, I'm going to talk tough because I'm behind a computer screen in the safety of my own mom's basement or blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. So they start doing out offensive stuff, and we kind of all go back to that one actress, comedian that's on Saturday Night Live. She's also was in the Ghostbusters movie. I can't think of what her name is, the African-American gal. Man, she was like getting slammed there for a while for something.
Yeah.
Just because of the time that the Ghostbusters movie came out, and it just started getting really racial and hateful and nasty. And Twitter obviously caught a whole lot of flack for... because there's only so much to do that you can do. You know, you can report somebody for being offensive. You can block them, but that's not going to stop them from opening up another Twitter account and coming back at you again, and just keep on rinse, wash, repeat. So now Twitter's going to soon be able to filter out abusive replies to tweets. You kind of put this in here, and I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on this.
You see these things happen on Facebook, Instagram, wherever it is, and Twitter's kind of been slow to catch up. It's finally nice to hear them say, hey, this is something we are looking at, because they're not doing incredibly well as a company right now. So the fact that they are saying it verbally for people to understand what they are wanting to do is a good thing for us users who still like Twitter for now. I mean, who knows? Maybe we won't like it in 2 years, 3 years. This really needs to happen like ASAP, especially, I mean, we all know politically things are kind of heated right now. And for some people, they can't let the subject go. They can't let it die. And that sucks because, you know, you're getting slammed for what it is you believe, but isn't that your right to believe it that way? So I feel bad for those people who understand that they will never change this person's mind, but they just keep coming at them no matter what because they want to just see you fall apart, or I don't even know what they think.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it I think boils down to everybody wants to blindly throw out that freedom of speech. Yeah, your freedom of speech,
but not freedom of consequence.
Exactly. You're not free to just be a stupid, ignorant, racist, homophobic, sexist, blah, 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 whatever it is that you're just railing on. You're not free to do that.
I don't believe that should be a freedom to purposefully hurt people or demean them or what have you. I think there should be a way to censor those people, and it should be a setting for the people who want it.
Right. If
you don't want to censor people, that's your choice. Right. If you would like to, that's also your choice.
And I hate throwing out the word censor because, you know, when you hear censor, it's, you don't mean I get a chance to talk. Well, no, you can state an opinion. You just can't be all ignorant and name-calling and all that. That's totally, totally different, and that's what trolls and stuff, they just don't get.
Yeah, in fact, I had my own set of trolls in my very own personal Facebook feed. I knew that there was nothing I could do to change their mind. Eventually, they got nasty towards the people that I actually like and enjoy talking to, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be the big guy. I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of him. There's nothing left to say. I never
going to walk you to the door.
Yeah, I never said anything hurtful or hateful to them. I was respectable the whole way. I actually, you know, it's funny. I kind of learned that through Xbox because I knew if I said something a certain way, I could get banned. So I started to kind of filter out the way I said things or typed things, that if I wanted to say something a certain way, I have to be very careful the way I word it because otherwise it might not have been worth it.
Right. The old ban hammer starts falling on your head.
Yeah,
that's
so
not what you want.
I kind of attribute all of that to Xbox, really. And if there's one nice thing that you could learn from video games, now this is completely off topic, but hey, I guess I learned that.
Right. And the last thing Twitter is working on is safer search results. That if you run a search, tweets from accounts that you've blocked or muted will not show up.
I'm good
obviously, with that. Yeah, they're working on trying to improve the experience and the community. And if you we all know the kind of stuff that we're talking about that just gets so annoying.
It does
with some people. That you want to comment on something, but you never know who's going to see it, and then just come, put the beeline right on. Oh, blah 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 blah.
Yep.
I'm like, oh my god, I ain't got time for this.
Again, lots of hopefully good things to come this year for Twitter.
So Apple is hiring an Amazon Fire TV head to spearhead the Apple TV business. Timothy D. Twerdahl, the general manager and director of Amazon's Fire TV business, is going to be the vice president in charge of Apple TV product marketing. And this is according to Bloomberg, because Twerdahl joined Apple earlier this month, so February 2017. He's been in charge of the Fire TV since 2013 and has overseen 2 generations of the product. And I still have to admit, I still like my Fire TV. It is a snappy little device that works very good. I feel it looks nice. It's just a nice little square box. It sits right there, and the remote works well. It's got the little voice search function, which...
So you do use a Fire TV?
It's not that I use it often. It's just it's hooked up on the TV that we've got sitting downstairs. It's nice to just be able to pull the things up. You got your one little remote, and click, 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 boom, here you go. You get all your applications if you want to search for something using the voice. And again, that's kind of where everything started when it came to the Echo and the Dot with Alexa and all that stuff. That was kind of one of their more early devices using the voice detection system. And it just kind of gradually evolved into what we now know as, hey, Alexa.
Isn't that so... No one could have predicted that, but it's kind of fascinating how Apple sort of turned it around, and now they have...
the Siri version. And
well, they could potentially make Siri better with maybe this guy heading the new Apple TV, maybe helping Siri learn things better. I mean, it's so hard to say where this can go next, because, 1 minute, one platform's on top, and then another platform comes out with this meteor that just destroys everything around it, i.e. Alexa. No one saw Alexa coming. And who knows, maybe Apple creates the next best, set-top box. It's kind of hard to say. Mm-hmm. But, Apple's got the money for it. If they really want to make this thing work, they really want to make a good set-top box, I think they can do it.
I mean, from all purposes and what I know of people that are big into Apple and use Apple TVs, they enjoy the Apple TV. One of the things that we had talked about on an episode a long time ago was the fact that, we thought Apple was going to start coming out with their own original programming and coming out with these content deals. Well, that kind of hasn't really gone as well as they had hoped for, because they were wanting to kind of start their own stuff, and it just didn't really go anywhere. So this is going to free up the former head of Apple TV product marketing, Pete Dystat, to concentrate on helping Apple land better content deals, and which are currently headed by Eddie Q. So before joining Apple in 2013, Dystat was Senior Vice President of Content Distribution at Hulu. So obviously we know Hulu has done a fantastic job of getting their service up and running, because if you want to know or watch things that's on network television and you don't have a DVR or something like that, like us, we don't have a DVR service. We know either late that night or the next day, we can watch whatever show was on the night before.
You can also pay a little extra and watch Showtime on there now. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, they have the best and brightest minds. It would be hard to not see a new product, maybe by the end of this year, maybe next year.
This could really be a big year for Apple.
It really could.
It's
really
could. Shaping up. And there was another story that I thought about putting in here about a potential for 3 iPhones this year and them having wireless charging. One being like 4.5 inches, the other one being like 5.5, 5.7, and then the third one being like their super
monster,
phone, like 5.8 inches display with some curved edges, and Yeah, we don't even want to get into all that. And then, of course, the AR discussion and rumors it's
with the
out
glasses.
there. It's like, oh my God, what? And they're opening their new campus this year.
Yep.
And, I seen a picture of the new Apple campus. What came to my mind was back in the old Transformers G1 cartoons.
Right.
So we're talking 80s Transformers. The space bridge wasn't really a bridge. It just looked like a circular disc. If you look at the Apple campus from kind of these aerial views, you look at that and then you look at this image of Transformers space bridge from the G1 cartoon, you see this big circular ring, you're like, that looks an awful lot alike. So somebody had posted either on Twitter or Facebook, I forgot which one, and they said, what are they going to be doing? Calling down some supersized Transformers or something? This is pairing up with Transformers Last Night or whatever movie that comes out this summer.
Right.
Which there was another trailer for during the Super Bowl. I'm looking forward to seeing what Apple has up their sleeves and what they do with the AR industry.
I'm sure we'll be hearing many, many more rumors before those phones or whatever else.
I mean, right now it seems like there's daily rumors about the iPhone. And
lots of wireless charging, lots of fingerprint on the screen technologies.
Who knows? They're saying that it could be $1,000 phone for the high-end base storage model.
I guarantee it.
OLED
is not cheap.
Man, oh man, oh man. Might have to start selling some stuff so I can buy that phone.
Sony's new camera sensor can shoot 1080p video at 1,000 frames per second. I can't really imagine using this kind of technology for almost anything. It would go so slow-mo that it may not be usable for what it is that I want to do. I suppose through some software you could slow it down to a perfect speed and you would get every frame that you need or want. What would a consumer do with this? I don't even know. But it truly is amazing, though. Because Samsung Galaxy S7 shoots 720p at 240 frames per second. And that's a nice camera in it of itself. And the fact that this effectively quadruples that. What are your thoughts? I just don't even know where to begin because it's so incredible.
Looking at the video that is on this post from Android Central kind of talking about it, they're showing off these different situations. There's a boy kicking a soccer ball, a woman riding a horse, a guy throwing and hitting a baseball. And this is only at 960 frames per second. Shame on me for saying only, because this is 64x super slow motion, 960 frames per second capture, 15 frames per second playback. And it just looks so smooth and so real. It's like I'm sitting there on the ground watching these little Asian girls running and jumping, and here comes a dog jumping over the beams and stuff. It's like, that is so awesome that you can slow things down, and it's unbelievable.
I take that back. I know exactly what regular consumer could do with this. Everything. Imagine if you're on your boy's sports team or girl, and they're playing whatever sport it is, but they're doing something wrong, but you can't quite figure it out. You could just take a video at this super, super slow speed and play it back and just figure it out, because you'll have every detail you will need. This is only at 1080p, I say only. Imagine this in 4K. How realistic, how mind-bending that's going to be in, who knows, couple years.
There's no telling. It just keeps going and going and going. And again, this is Sony, so Sony's obviously well known for their camera technology. They do a great job with their smartphones and stuff like that.
Now, this article comes to us from Android Central. We'll have it posted in the show notes. At the bottom of the article, they have the video that we were talking about. If you wanted to go and check that out, it'll be in the show notes.
All right, just a minute, 38 seconds to watch, and it's just really, really cool. I'm pretty darn excited to see this, and if this is actually something that they're going to be able to put into smartphones, man, oh man, oh man. I mean, this isn't even DSLR stuff. This is phone, pocket, pull it out, capture video.
Soon you won't even need a DSLR.
No, just give me a specific tripod and away I go. Unbelievable stuff.
So Microsoft is thinking about bringing UWP games to Xbox One. Now, from what I've heard, that's not going to be all UWP apps or games, but the potential of bringing over a bunch of games that are already done, that are done in the UWP app style, it's, from what I understand, almost a copy and paste kind of thing with maybe adding achievements. I'm not sure if they can do games without achievements anymore. I'm not sure if that's a stipulation. However, the thing Microsoft's been pushing for a couple of years now, we're talking Xbox, we're talking Windows 10 with the new game mode. This is the stuff that this is made for. This is what Microsoft wants developers to do. In fact, we just got Fallout Shelter for Windows 10 and Xbox One, UWP app. It's across the board. It's a Play Anywhere app now. That's awesome. I love this. And Resident Evil 7, another example. It's a Play Anywhere app. You can play it on your Xbox, play it on your computer, pick it up where you left off, and it's exactly the same thing. Now, if they can span that across 3 platforms or 3 different things, like if you could go from your phone to computer to an Xbox back to your phone, I mean, whew, that's some cool stuff.
Yeah, it is. Be able to just pick up your game save. It's all saved to your Xbox account,
which is in the cloud.
That as soon as you log in, it's just bloop. Just kind of synchronizes just like a mobile smartphone game. And there you go. You pick it up wherever you are on whichever device you're logged into, and away you go. I think this is some very interesting stuff. And, kudos to Microsoft for being able to do this. And, there's still kind of the talk of allowing people on PC to play with Xbox One gamers and vice versa and stuff like that.
Yeah, in fact, Gears of War has kind of opened up the floodgates for that. Unless it's a competitive mode, you can play any mode in Gears of War, whether you're on PC or Xbox. You can just play each other now. It doesn't matter. Which is great specifically for that game because it's a third-person shooter. It's not as maybe twitchy. And because it's Gears of War, it's not as fast-paced necessarily. Having a mouse and keyboard doesn't necessarily give you the advantage over the person with the controller who's been playing for 10 years.
So kudos to them for doing this. It's time for a little app entertainment and hardware picks. And again, you just kind of started talking a little bit about Gears of War 4. Talk a little bit more about what story you've got here.
So, February is here, which means a new update for Gears of War, which means, well, more goodies. And, we start off with 2 new maps. So they're iterating on a map that is already out called Impact, and this time it's Dark Impact or Impact Dark. Essentially, how it is now, it's a very sniper-based game. Playing on this particular map, snipers are king, and the torque bow, long-range weapons are king. Well, with this whole dark mode and this kind of fog of war that they put out, they make it a lot harder to see a lot further. So you got to get up close and personal.
A little bit closer to the action then.
Yeah, and that's where I come in because I love that up close and personal action. This map looks absolutely great. I cannot wait to play it in this style with different weapons because they're not putting out the same weapons. Next up, War Machine, which is an oldie but a goodie. Everything is exactly as you remember it in the very first game up through 2 and 3. This is a returning map many times. It is, again, it's the exact same War Machine that you remember, except this time, instead of it being destroyed and war-bound, it's very clean and pristine looking, which is a little different feel to it. Other than that, though, all sandbags and snipers and turrets are basically in the same spot. So I really cannot wait for actually what's at the end of this article, which says next month they will be bringing back, in quotations, old heroes and Locust. And now Locust are the bad guy that you play in all 3 of the games beforehand, actually 4. And the fact that they're returning to multiplayer warms my heart because those character models are so awesome and I cannot wait to potentially get my specific character back in Gears of War 4. Oh.
Somebody's having. It's almost like somebody's going to put a Valentine, his little Valentine's Day shoebox.
Yeah, guess we'll see.
I guess so. So one of my favorite game series on the Nintendo is Castlevania. I still have never beat the original Castlevania because it took me getting the NES Classic just to be able to beat the Grim Reaper, which is the fourth boss in the original game. So now we kind of got some news that it looks like Netflix is going to be bringing us a Castlevania animated series. And that is kind of exciting to me because we're all used to vampire-themed shows. So Castlevania is a series about Simon Belmont going and taking on Dracula. In the first game, Dracula is the final boss, and I've still yet to get to where I could attack him or attempt to beat him, but I am really looking forward to this. They say the first season is due sometime in 2017 with a second season due the following year. I think it sounds pretty darn cool.
I really hope that this works, because if this works, perhaps this is what video games should be doing with their properties. Instead of trying to make a grandiose movie and try to tell the whole story in this little tiny bit of time, tell it over 5, 10, 15 episodes. I don't know. It seems to be the preferred way of telling those big grandiose stories. You have more time to play with. You have more excitement to build up with your audience, and they get more material to chew on. It's kind of all a win-win all around. So I really hope this does good. I cannot wait to actually watch this. I guess we'll kind of wait and see what it brings.
Mm-hmm. I'm just curious, though, because some of the music from the first Castlevania is so iconic. You can sit...
Legendary.
You can just sit and hum it just out of nowhere.
Absolutely.
And just playing your levels, you know what song's coming next. You're like, oh, this is so great. That's one of the things that made the NES games so fun, were sometimes just the music, even though it's very rudimentary and very basic with the technology, just to see and hear, like, so memorable. Love it. So looking forward to this. So sometime in 2017, Netflix. Speaking of Netflix, they are also getting another show that was shown off during the Super Bowl. And Brad, I know you're excited about this. What is it?
Oh, I lost my mind. So we were watching the Super Bowl, as one does, and this strange Eggo commercial came on, or so we thought. And then as soon as the screen kind of flickers, you instantly know what it is. And that's Stranger Things 2. It's coming this year, and it's coming Halloween. I absolutely cannot wait for this.
Yeah.
I may actually be here this year for Halloween. It kind of depends. Which would be kind of a nice change to have Halloween at home for once, which that's also, I got married that day, so that's kind of a significant day for me now.
It's a big day. Big day in the life of Brad Whiteside.
Yeah, an even bigger day this year. The old crew's back, essentially, for Stranger Things 2, which, if you haven't finished the season, Kevin...
Oh, me? No, I didn't know that emphasis
you
was
might
on me.
really want to go back and watch this. I'm going to probably rewatch it like 2 or 3 times before Halloween.
2 or 3 times?
Because I can't wait. This was
goodness.
the best thing to come out of 2016.
For you.
No. This was the best thing to come out of 2016.
Well, yeah, actually, probably for a lot of people, I would say, yeah, I can agree.
If you can't tell, I'm super excited about this. And I have every right to be. This show kind of did so many things slightly differently, but perfectly. Mm-hmm. The nostalgia, perfect. Not hitting you over the head with it, but not so vague you don't understand. Right. It has this perfect mix of visuals, of music, of character development. Everything was so perfect. I gave it like a 10 out of 10 if I were to rate it.
All right, similar to me and my feelings about the Goldbergs, the comedy show. It's set in the 80s as well, so it's, gently picking at all those little childhood memories of mine that, you look back on with such fond memories. And it's just a great overall show. And I know Stranger Things is a show that I would enjoy. And like I said, I'm 3-4 episodes in. I will probably go back and just start from the beginning and catch back up, because it's not fresh anymore.
being as we're sort of on the topic, did you have a favorite Super Bowl ad? I really liked this one, and I really liked the Budweiser commercial with Adolphus Bush coming into the country. The funny thing is that was actually filmed months ago. This was before any of the
whole political and immigration thing, blah, blah, blah.
But it was kind of tasteful and telling that it still works now, even though it was filmed months ago. I thought that was kind of a nice touch with Budweiser. And being as we live in St. Louis, it is part of our history. It is kind of part of one of the things that kind of, made St. Louis great. So it was kind of neat seeing that while, millions of other people are hearing, oh, welcome to St. Louis, Mr., whoever your name is.
Mm-hmm. But from knowing a little bit about the history, you kind of have to look at this and say, maybe this is some of those infamous alternative facts, because that's not quite how the story went.
You're right.
Bush did not come to the United States to perfect and start this beer. I mean, he was just coming to the United States. He met Anheuser's daughter, and that's kind of how those families got together.
Right.
And then they were also making a beer that was a recipe from someone else in St. Louis who owned the recipe, so they were making it, and that ended up being Budweiser because they ended up buying the recipe. And
well, you ruined it.
I know.
Now I don't like the commercial anymore.
So there goes the spoiler. But no, the commercial is great because, I love history, and even though it was not exactly historically accurate, I like that it kind of gives people a little bit more, hey. And also, a lot of people were talking about, oh, geez, there's no Clydesdale commercials this year. Well, actually, if you pay attention during that commercial, you do see some Clydesdales. You do see some Clydesdales. Exactly. So for everybody who's saying, oh, I missed the Clydesdale commercials, well, they were kind of in the Budweiser commercial. And the other one that they did was Spuds MacKenzie. Now, of course, I grew up during the 80s when Spuds MacKenzie was like the thing. I still got my Spuds MacKenzie, like a Swatch watch with a little Bud Light thing on the band and stuff. So, yeah. Me, Spuds, yeah. I know all about Spuds. I think I even had a little stuffed Spuds MacKenzie dog. And of course, even as a kid, you can't drink beer, but hey, that's because marketing because marketing back then was done a little bit differently. A lot of these companies with cigarettes or beer, they were kind of advertising to get the young people say, "Ooh, man, I really like this brand. What's that? I want
to be cool too.
I can't. Oh man, I got to sneak that kind of stuff and be bad." For me, one of my favorite commercials, and it has been one that I have not heard one other person mention, was the Humpty Dumpty commercial in the hospital where he had obviously fallen off the wall.
That was pretty.
He's leaking yolk, and he got all the King's men and horses. The men are actually in the room with him, and he's like on the phone with his insurance agent and kind of going over there, and he's looking at the horse, and it was just really funny. There was a lot of little sarcasm, because he's saying something, and one of the King's men says, "Well, you were sitting on a wall." What did you say?
What was that?
Nothing. That's what I thought. It was just, to me, that was funny because that's my kind of humor. Yeah. I'm all about that.
I did actually enjoy that.
It stood out the most to me.
I will say that there were some kind of funny / interesting World of Tanks.
Yes, with the Viagra kind of commercial.
Or very fake leaning things that you would normally see on TV for commercials, but then they crash into the commercial with a Sherman tank.
Like a Real Housewives commercial. Those were the two that I have seen.
So I thought those were kind of funny.
Those are funny, yeah. And then, of course, again, Nintendo Switch commercials showing off, hey, this is what you can do. So when you got the biggest audience captivated, like we mentioned with the Super Bowl, started out being a blowout. So as the game starts getting out of hand, more people start walking away from the TV and just looking at the commercials. And then all of a sudden, hey guys, you might want to come back and watch this game because it's getting interesting. Then everybody comes back around and checks it all out.
So funny because I left watching the Nintendo commercial last. That was the last thing I saw. Mm-hmm. And that's when stuff happened.
And there was actually a study that was released that kind of showed, kind of pinpointing the kind of the big change for the Patriots started that series after that Switch commercial aired.
You mean when the power switched teams?
Yeah, the power switched teams. Yes. Again, one of the best Super Bowls I've ever watched.
Again, with Netflix, this is kind of a quicker one because it's out a lot sooner. Bill Nye's back, too.
Woo!
In fact, he's back April 21st on Netflix. I'm
Ta-da.
so excited. I watched him growing up as a kid. He is the sole reason that I love science and technology and all that weird information that you people stuff in your brains through your ear holes and or whatever it may be. He's back also, so look forward to that in April.
If you're a Grand Theft Auto fan, and specifically a fan of the Grand Theft Auto 4 series, if you have an Xbox One, you can now play Grand Theft Auto 4 on your Xbox One. It is now backwards compatible.
And so is the expansion, apparently.
Exactly. The episodes from Liberty City is also available. So if you still have an Xbox 360 disc, simply put it in there and download your game save from the cloud on Xbox, and there you go. And it's also available to buy digitally for $20 if you've never owned it. If you owned it digitally on the 360, you can download it now for free on the Xbox One. There you go.
Yep, so $20 if you don't have it, and I would assume that the expansion would be, I don't know, $10, $20.
Yeah, probably in that same range.
So
I would gather.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you would think. Beer pick of the week time. And Brad, you are actually wearing the shirt, not necessarily for this specific brew, but it goes along with your beer pick for this week. So what do you got for us?
So this is more of a macro pick, if you will, but it, you know...
Just kidding, folks. Just kidding.
I like to look at the beer for what it is. I don't judge it just because it comes from Macro City or whatever. And by this, I am referring to the Guinness Rye Pale Ale, which actually, for a rye pale ale, is pretty darn good. It kind of took me by surprise. I was expecting something a little mediocre and got something even a little better. Now, right now, it's only getting about, let's say, 3.5 on the star rating on Untappd. But I gave it a kind of a solid 4. I thought it was a solid pale ale. I thought it was awesome that they're kind of trying to reinvent theirself, reinvigorate the company themselves. It's only 5% ABV and 18 IBUs. So it's not overly bitter. It is a nice smooth pale ale with that like nice bite from the rye, that spiciness from the rye. It's fantastic, actually. For what it is, it's not bad, and you should be able to find it anywhere, being as, well, St. Paddy's Day is coming up, so this might be a good selection to pick up for that if you're into celebrating that like I am every year.
Yeah, if you want to get away from your traditional Guinness, and you know they've had the Guinness Blonde American Lager, I believe,
Which
that's been out for a while.
Too bad, but this is way better.
Is it? Okay. Yeah, I would like to try this because I like pale ales and stuff like that, and I do like Guinness. I think they have some pretty fantastic beers, and I do not mind that whenever I go somewhere and they don't really have a good craft selection.
If they have Guinness on tap,
that's typically what I will go with.
Yep, you
that's
betcha.
Typically the direction I go. I'm like, I'll go there then.
So I hope you give this a try, just for the simple fact that they kind of stretched outside their bounds, and it's different than what they normally would go with. Guinness Rye Pale Ale from Guinness.
So that does it for this week's episode of the Tech Informist. It's hard to believe we are at episode 164. Last night we had another meetup here at the St. Louis Podcasters Meetup Group here at the studio. And I actually had 2 people, after me talking about Tech Informist podcast, say, I wouldn't mind being on that show, because I kind of showed them our show notes from last episode. And one of the gentlemen, DeMarcus, he pointed out, it's like, oh, I have one of those Next Bit Robins. I'm like, dang, so that means you are kind of up to date on your technology. You don't live too awful far away. He said he'd love to be on the show sometime. I said, at least kind of sit in and kind of get a feel for what it is, and maybe have him on in the future, kind of give a different perspective. So I'm open to that.
I'd love if he'd bring the phone in just to sit and talk with him.
Yeah. And then also Donna. So a female was interested on being it. She came up to me towards the end. She's like, if you'd like to have a female perspective, come on. I'd be more than interested. I'm like,
cool.
Come on in, because it would be nice to have another female perspective.
Yeah, because my wife doesn't give a crap about technology.
Same with mine. I could really care less. I mean, my wife actually kind of started getting a little upset at me because I installed the update on her Galaxy S7 Active last night. I saw there was a system update. I said, aren't you going to install that? She's like, no, not right now. I don't want it to install right now. I'm like, so she kind of like rolled over. I reached over and grabbed it. Bloop, bloop. Like, damn you. I'm like, you're going to sleep. It's going to install and be all done by the time you get up.
That's funny.
I'm like, ah.
I will say, though, my wife is really loving the podcast scene right now.
Really?
She is getting down and deep with all the serial killer podcasts.
Oh, yeah, because once Serial came out, everybody wants to do a kind of a murder mystery style.
All I can say is I'm really happy she's got a bunch of Disney ones and a bunch of the murder stuff. Yeah, two opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, it is. Boy, it sure is kind of awkward. But hey, I'm not going to be here to judge. I'm glad that Sarah's found something that she likes to listen to.
Yeah, I am too.
That's good. I mean, obviously, it's not like she's got a long commute to work, but yeah, you can get some listening in.
It actually goes good with the gym.
Yeah.
So
there you go. So, again, that does it for this week's episode of the Tech Informist. We would love to hear your feedback. Make sure you subscribe. Hey, go to iTunes, leave a review. Go to Stitcher Radio, leave a review. I do believe we do share links to that stuff in our show notes. If not, maybe we can put those links back in there. Otherwise, you just go there and do a search for Tech Informist, the podcast, and you can leave a rating and review. And if you have any comments, thoughts, suggestions, any kind of feedback, just let us know. If you'd like to leave us a voice message, we could also do that. Try that thing again to see if anybody would be interested in calling in and leaving a message. That's 314-529-1998. 314-529-1998. And that is a Google Voice number, so you're not going to wake me up. I don't care. Call it all hours of the night.
Yeah, call in for an app entertainment or hardware pick, or send us an email like Daryl did.
Like Daryl did, yes. All you got to do, just send that stuff. We'll check it out. If we like it, we'll mention it, and maybe we won't even look at it, and we'll just mention it. Because if you like it, then maybe there's other people out there that will like it, and it introduces not only us, but other people to something that you do like and enjoy. That's what we're here for. We're here for you, the listener.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So, again, I'm Kevin.
I'm Brad.
And we're online pretty much everywhere at Kevin Harvell, and he's at Holy Shadows. Somewhere, Holy Shadows, Holy _Shadows. And one last thing, too, that I do need to ask you. No Destructoid post this week.
Yeah.
It just dawned on me. No Destructoid.
It's sad.
Because you've been so busy at work.
However, next week I'm shooting for 2.
Ooh, he's going to make up for it.
Oh, yeah. I might even double it.
Big week.
Yeah.
Big week.
Got a lot of extra time on the hands, as it were.
Oh, boy. All right.
I got one started, but I didn't get a chance to finish it. Hopefully this weekend I can finish that one. I like to post 8:30 our time because in Californian time, people are on their way to work or on the bus or something. So the important people that need to read it can.
Yeah, I know who he's talking about.
Yeah, that is the science behind the madness.
There you go.
But so that's how I do it. So,
all right. So on next week's episode, I'm sure you will know all about what it is that he has written. Maybe 1, maybe 2. Stay tuned and find out. And until next time, consider yourself informed. We're out.
Bye-bye.